Good afternoon. Welcome into edition here of Home Field Advantage. I'm Will Highland. We got Cam Chiesa. We've got Kyle Diezel. We're going to do a greatest of all time athlete draft. We've got a plethora of categories here to go through. I'm going to read them off real quick before I introduce the others, just so that we all mentally remind ourselves to, and the listeners. So we'll have one player each for the following categories. It'll be a snake draft. The order was determined by our fantasy league. So we'll have one player each for the following categories: NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, female Olympics, male Olympics, tennis, golf, soccer, male NCAA, female NCAA. We'll also have 2 wild cards for female athletes and 1 wild card for male athletes. That will allow us to get a pretty well-rounded look at all the different sports across time. And so you can only choose one player per category. And also, if that player is chosen for one category, let's say Michael Jordan in Olympics, he can't also be chosen as Michael Jordan in NBA. Same thing with like Tim Tebow for NFL and college. Not that anyone would pick him for NFL, but you know where I'm going. All right, so without that out of the way now, Kyle, welcome in. Good to have you back. Hope you enjoyed your snow day. Same thing up here with you, Cam. Hope you enjoyed your snow day as well. We're kicking it here, headed toward Christmas.
We're ready.
You guys ready for a holiday?
Let's do it. We're ready, man.
Perfect.
All right, let's go.
All right. So I have the number 1 overall pick, and this isn't biased because I'm the host, but this is just because my fantasy team sucks. And so that's where we are. I get the number 1 pick. So for my number 1 pick, I'm going to go off the wall pretty fast. Like, I want to grab this pretty early because, in my opinion, I think you can make the case that he might be the best athlete of all time, even though he doesn't fall into any of these categories. And that's Muhammad Ali as my wild card. Because I think Muhammad Ali is just one of the toughest competitors of all time. And selfishly, he had quite arguably the best win of his career and his life about 8 miles from where I'm sitting right now. So because of that, I'm going with Muhammad Ali.
Great
So I'm
pick.
writing that down in the log for
Great
history to
pick.
know.
Great pick. Great pick.
All right. So Kyle, you got the second pick, unless you want to debate mine for a little bit. I don't know how we're going to do this, but
I say we just talk about it. I mean, I think that's an excellent pick.
Yeah.
Dominant in the category. I mean,
yeah, I don't know
No
what
way.
else. I remember when he died. So when he died in 2016, I want to say, there's a ton of tributes about him. And that was when I really started to think about him as one of the best athletes ever, because like what he did in that time frame was he beat out some of the best boxers of his era on his way to the top, right? Sonny Liston was at the time considered way better than Muhammad Ali, or at the time he was known as Cassius Clay. So I just think he was like the true underdog when he started out, and then he came to be like one of just the most dominant boxers ever. So I gotta go with Muhammad Ali.
Hard to argue.
Hard to argue. I agree.
All right, Kyle, you're up next.
My first pick, I'm gonna start with the male Olympians. I gotta start with Michael Phelps. All the gold medals he's got, it's hard to say that he's not one of the greatest swimmers / athletes in the world of all time for that category.
I got to hand it to you. He was on my board.
That was mine. Yep.
Definitely. The dude, and we're all old enough to watch him. Like, we weren't obviously like alive when Muhammad Ali was at his peak, obviously, but maybe our parents and grandparents were. But with Michael Phelps, we were kids and even young adults when he was like the best like male athlete probably of all sports as well. Like in 2008, like he just put on a clinic, like I remember hearing his 60 Minutes interview where he said he swam every day growing up, every day. Didn't take one day off, not even Christmas.
Hey, Will, just what category did you put Ali in
Wild
for
card.
wild? Okay, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just
No, that's all
making
right.
notes.
No,
Yeah,
Michael Phelps is a great pick.
it is. You want to go with dominant people right in their category. We
Yeah.
talked about this before the
Mhm.
show, so I think I'm up.
Yeah.
Um,
You're up
I'm
twice.
gonna.
Back to
All
back.
right, so my first pick, I'm going to go with the greatest hockey player to ever live, and that's Wayne Gretzky. I'm
Yep.
gonna go there. I think there's a
Great pick.
large. I think there's a large advantage for me there. Um, Not much to say about Wayne. Just the best hockey player of all time. So
Yeah, you
I'm
miss
going.
100% of the shots you don't take. And
That's right. I mean, that one's easy to me. I was gonna go Phelps because I think he's really dominant, but Diesel got him. So I'll go Wayne Gretzky for NHL
Mhm.
category. And then I'm gonna go to male NCAA athlete, and I think the greatest college basketball player of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
wow.
Great pick.
Yeah, he was. I mean, with him and Coach Wooden at UCLA, I mean, the record it speaks for itself.
I mean, both of those picks are great picks. So like the Gretzky pick is great because there's just such a huge gap between
Right.
him and like I'm not going to mention the other guys because now those guys are who I need to pick for my NHL. But it is just such a big gap. And Gretzky, I mean, they called him the great one for a reason, right? Like he was just greater than any other at his time. And then with
Yeah.
Kareem, a lot of people will think of him as an NBA a player and a Laker, but obviously his time before then in college was
Well, I mean,
equally
he
as
was part
dominant.
of 88 straight victories for Coach Wooden. You know, all the national championships, Player of the Year, in a time where it was illegal for freshmen to play, and they couldn't dunk because of him. They made a rule that you couldn't dunk at it for a short period of time at the collegiate level because of Kareem. So when I think of pure domination of a level of a high level, I think of Kareem.
I think I'm up next. No,
You are,
Kyle's
sir.
up next at 5.
I'm up.
Kyle's up at 5.
So I'm gonna switch it over. I'm gonna pick the first female athlete for our category. It's gonna be for tennis. I'm going with Billie Jean King.
Ooh,
That's the best one. Yep.
that is. I mean, I thought you were going to mention another name, and I know you can't see my screen, so I started typing in a different name. But yeah, that. So she's just your female single athlete,
For tennis, yes.
or is she tennis?
She's tennis, strictly tennis.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. That's
All
not what I
right.
expect. Okay, that part's interesting. All right.
I like it though.
Yeah.
I mean, she beat men. She was so good. She beat men. That's how good she
Yeah.
was.
It's true.
And at the time, like she beat like not just like me at tennis, but like the best male players at tennis. Yeah, they made a whole movie about how great she was. Battle of the Sexes, I believe, is what it was called. So yeah, that's a great. I mean, I don't mean to discount. Obviously, I mean Billie Jean King is probably one of the best female athletes ever. So whether you pick her as a female athlete category or just straight tennis player, I mean, I think it goes both ways. All right, so
Right.
I'm up back to back, and this is where it starts to get difficult for me because I knew that like Muhammad Ali was who I wanted to take first and foremost, but because I have back to back picks, I'm just gonna grab two that I think are gonna go pretty quick, and I might get flack for this, but I'm gonna go Tom Brady NFL. I'll go Michael Jordan NBA, and
I was going there.
I'll just do it straight back to back while I have the opportunity, even though there's other players on this list that I want. I would be remiss if I didn't grab those two guys. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll go Tom Brady probably first, and then I'll do Jordan.
The two greatest team athletes of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
And Cam, I remember 7 years ago when Brady at the time, imagine this, only had 4 Super Bowls, and
Yep.
you and I were talking one night at the lodge, and I said if he wins his 5th Super Bowl, do we start debating if he's a better team athlete or not than Jordan? And you told me no, because you never mix sports. So that's when I decided that you kind of had to silo team athletes into sports and not just pick them as like so and so is the best team athlete ever. So
Right. I mean, those guys are two of my personal favorites. You have the greatest quarterback of all time and the greatest NBA player to ever walk the planet. So I don't think it's that close.
yeah. All right, I think Kyle, you're up again, and then we got Cam back to back.
All right, I'm gonna go with my MLB pick. I'm gonna go with Babe Ruth.
I mean, I respect it.
Wow. Okay.
The dude
Wow.
was the home run king for like 60 years.
That was probably not in my top 10, but hey, for baseball. But
I mean, the thing about Babe Ruth though is like he did play in a segregated league. However, at the same time, he was an American symbol. So like he was like more than just on the field. Like he was like a symbol of baseball culture when baseball truly was like the only thing going on in pro sports. So like kind of hard to knock Babe Ruth because you're a product of the era that you're in, right?
right. You can't penalize a guy for playing in the time.
Right.
I guess it's just not somebody we think about in the same historical relevance as, his counterparts of the earlier portion of baseball history.
All right, so Cam, we got you for back-to-back picks here.
And so the pressure kind of comes off when MJ's off the board for me. My best category is sports. If I can't have MJ, I can wait. So I have to go a little different. Give me Tiger Woods for golf.
Love that pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's the greatest golfer to ever live. I might as well get the best guy in the category.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And I feel like I have that. I feel like I have two of those guys now with Gretzky and Woods. So part of me wants to go soccer here, but yeah, this might be a little recency bias, but I'm going to take Lionel Messi for soccer. Because even before the World Cup, he was still obviously like, they just won like an hour ago. So that cements the legacy. But even if they didn't win, I still think he's one of 2 or 3 greatest soccer players of all time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I'm not a soccer expert, but I like Messi over Ronaldo. I like Messi over Maradona, and I like him over Pele. So
yeah, the fact that he won the World Cup like 40 minutes ago
doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. But yeah,
but even before that,
what he did for the sport in the modern time globally, because like those other guys you mentioned who like except Ronaldo, because Ronaldo played in the same era. The rest of those guys you mentioned, they sort of played like before the internet. So it was harder for like Americans to like watch those guys and be like exposed to those guys.
Right.
And so that's why like Messi and Ronaldo are like regarded in the way that they are, like obviously like globally.
They transcended the sport, they transcended the sport. Same with Tiger. Like Tiger made a whole sport relevant. I mean, for our generation growing up, like we wouldn't watch golf without Tiger. I mean, Tiger was the show for 15 years, 10, 15 years. So that's kind of where I'm going there. I want to get dominant guys in the category. If you can't get the best NBA guy, I might as well get the next best guy in a different category.
Absolutely. Kyle, you're up at 11.
It's a tough one. I think my next pick that I'm going to go with is go back to the NFL, and I'm going to take Lawrence Taylor as my next pick.
That's an amazing pick.
Yep.
I love that pick.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's the smart number 2 pick, honestly, for NFL. I think that's excellent.
Both coached by Bill Belichick.
That's right.
Well, I think Lawrence Taylor is like the best non-quarterback in NFL history. And
the only person I could argue with that would probably be Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
But But I would agree with Taylor. I would agree with Taylor.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that pick. That's a great pick, Kyle.
Yeah, brother. That's a good one.
All right. So this is where it gets tough for me because I have back-to-back picks pretty much the rest of the draft. And so I'm basically picking in pairs.
Right.
I'm gonna go sort of I got like a bunch of baseball like choices, so like I'm not worried about not getting one of my baseball
Same here.
guys, but like I'm a little worried. I'm not so worried as much about tennis anymore either, or golf. But I've got, since you guys grabbed some of those guys, but I'll go with Serena Williams as one of my female athletes, and then I'll go with this is tough.
Are you putting
I
her in
think
the
I'm
female athlete category?
yes, not tennis.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yep. So she's going to be one of my wild cards. And then for my male college, I think I'm going to go this way too. I'm going to grab Bill Walton
Yeah.
because
Good pick.
because when he was at UCLA, I mean the dude. And I mean this was 50 years ago, but he was just dominant in that time period for that school when they were who they were at the peak. And so, yeah, I got to go Bill Walton. Now, Cam, you know probably a ton more about him than I do, but he not only had a great playing career, but he had a great coaching career, right?
Well, so the Walton impact was the collegiate winning. He was an NBA champion as well. And the real piece with that later on was just he's contributed more broadcasting wise.
Okay.
But the real piece about Bill Walton is the UCLA, and then like he was awesome in Portland, and then he was on obviously part of the '86 Celtics as one of the best 6-man ever. So really good pick. I mean, if you can't have Kareem, might as well have Bill Walton, right? I mean, that's 1A to him.
Yeah.
So I think that's an underrated pick. I feel like you can either go Heisman Trophy winner or, we talked about this before, or NCAA champion, and that's a good choice. So.
Yeah, once we're all done, I don't want to tip. I guess I picked the category, so I don't mind it if you guys know. I was also not this guy would never, of course, make the list of top senators of all time because he couldn't. This is the only thing he couldn't win. But Herschel Walker is like arguably the best college football player of all time, so he was on my list. And then I also had Tim Tebow on my list.
Me too. I did too.
It was hard because I mean, I wanted to go more of a basketball guy because I knew you guys were probably going to pick college football players. Although Cam, you picked Kareem, so that's interesting. We'll see what Diezel does.
Yeah, I'm curious there too. It's so many fun ways to go with that. There's many different angles you can take.
It's like male college athletes, in most cases, who are great, go on to have a good pro career, right? Like Matt Leinart, we talked about, didn't really have that, or Ryan Leaf, or anybody like that.
Johnny Manziel,
yeah. RG3.
There's so many. There's so many.
So that's where I wanted to. Joakim Noah in basketball. So that's where I sort of wanted to go with that. And then my second, since I'm going back to back, or no, I already took it.
Yeah. No, nice try there, Seabiscuit. You already got two.
Well, I was gonna say Serena, but I already did it.
You already got it there, champ.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me write this down. All right, so Kyle, you're up at 14.
I had a tough choice on this one. This one is, I don't know which one I want to go with. I want to do my female Olympian, but I can't decide which one I want to pick.
I'm gonna do
so close. I think I'm about to go with Michaela Schifrin as my female Olympian.
I don't hate that pick. She was really underwhelming at this last Olympics, though. But her previous two, I believe, were very good. So hard to pick again.
Yeah, she's currently 5 wins away from Lindsey Vohn's all-time winning record for female skiers.
All right, Cam.
Is it me? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Mhm.
You're up back to back.
All right. So again, looking at categories, I'm gonna go outside the box, and some of my real old school hoop fans will understand this one. For my female NCAA player, I'm going with the sister of a Hall of Famer. Give me Cheryl Miller. Cheryl Miller for female NCAA athlete. Cheryl Miller was the first person to score 100 points in the state of California in a high school basketball game. Scored 105 points. She was a Hall of Famer, inducted in 1995 to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Arguably the greatest women's basketball player of all time. So, and obviously comes from a great family. So I'm going there for that one for female NCAA. And let's see here. I have a female athlete category I can go with. I might as well. I'm gonna grab Roger Federer for tennis. That's what I'll do.
I like it.
Yeah, because I want to get that out of the way. Not a big tennis guy, but Roger. This generation's either Roger, Nadal, or Djokovic for some people, and I think Roger's a little better. So I'll go there. Not my most knowledgeable picks, but picks that had to be made.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, you're up at 17. So we're about a third of the way through the draft.
Ooh, this is tough. So I'm gonna go NBA. I'm gonna go with Bill Russell.
Oh,
Wow.
see that was gonna be my backup if I didn't get Jordan. To be honest,
I actually love that. I did not expect that.
I love that pick.
Rest in peace, Bill. Definitely.
Right, absolutely.
That's a really bold. Well, Diezel. I mean, obviously, as a passionate Celtics fan, you can talk about the basketball stuff was secondary to everything else that Mr. Russell did in his lifetime.
Incredible.
So, that actually would have been a great male college athlete too. Could have went there because of the San Francisco championships. So
Correct.
Great pick.
Right.
Great pick.
And I mean, he was just a pioneer of sports too. And
Right. Of culture.
Super nice guy. Yeah, he was going to be my pick, and then if I didn't get him, my last resort was going to be Kobe. But we'll discuss later.
We have some things on the board still.
Yes, we do.
I just love I'm the NBA guy, and I got NBA guy last. I just want to say that. Saying. Anywho,
we know you well. So
I had to get him early. Got him before me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got back to back now too. Here's the thing. I'm not really worried about tennis anymore because you guys have both taken tennis.
So it's all you. Yeah.
Right. And then I'm not too worried about golf. I'm gonna go male Olympian though, because I don't want this to go by the wayside. I'm gonna go Shaun White, male Olympian, 2010, 2018, and 2006 gold medalist. He also won in 10 and in 18 when all the pressure was on him. In Vancouver in 2010, it was like he had people were like had given him the gold medal before he even went down the hill, and so he was under a lot of pressure. And I think just winning then, and then winning as an older guy in 18, and then I think he came in like 5th or 6th this year. So it's at his age, it's not like he like stunk. And then he had a great run in the X Games as well. I know that doesn't count for Olympics, but I'm gonna go Shaun White as my male Olympian.
Love it.
And then I'm gonna go my next one, since Shaun White's off the board for me. I also thought about Jesse Owens there too. Because I know that's way before our lifetimes, but that would have been a great.
You guys have left me one good one I'm gonna take, just so you know. I'm gonna say it after, but go ahead.
All right, cool. I'm looking forward to hearing it. And then this is where it gets tough for me because the rest of these categories, like I feel pretty confident I'm going to get somebody good. But I'm going to go Allison Felix for female Olympics.
Great pick.
Because she was like the most decorated women's track and field. I think she won 6 golds and 3 silvers. Just an absolute force out there. And I know Diesel, you'll appreciate that as a track coach. So I'm going to go Allison Felix with my 19th overall pick as my.
Most medals for female athlete in track and field.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she might be the most ever for any sport too, even ahead of some of those swimmers. So yeah, I had to go there with that one. So I think I grabbed two good ones there with my Olympic picks.
Big time.
All right, Kyle, you're up at 20.
Ooh, 20. I'm gonna go with my soccer pick right now. I'm gonna go with Mia Hamm as my soccer pick.
All right, I got that down. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, like I want to say like 8 or 9 years old, like she was at like the peak of her powers with the women's national team and with professionally. And she seemed like she was on every magazine cover for Sports Illustrated or Time or any of these other like publications. Seemed like she was everywhere when we were kids. I was probably a little bit too young to really get it, but yeah, definitely a good pick there. I believe she got into coaching, and I think she's married to Nomar Garciaparra too. So that's pretty cool. All right, Kim, you got back-to-back picks here.
Well, I'm gonna go a little different. So for male Olympian, I'm gonna take what's left. I'm gonna take Usain Bolt.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I can't believe he's there this late. That's why I was so happy during that speech. So to me, that might be the steal of this draft, in my opinion.
Usain Bolt at 21 overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this board here. Phelps is obviously great, and Sean Way's not a bad pick. I just think Bolt is so just next level. So I'm happy with that. This is going to be the surprise of the draft. I think I'm going to take my wild card. I'm gonna go way different, way out of the box. Give me Tony Hawk for my wild card.
I like that.
And because again, my whole theme of my team is I'm getting the best in each category. I'm trying to get the most dominant. And when you think about skateboarding in America, like I'm the most like I never skateboarded in my life, but playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater as a kid on a PlayStation 2. That whole life and culture was exposed to me because of Tony Hawk. Right. He goes he talk about going beyond sports. Tony Hawk goes way beyond just riding a skateboard. So
you remember when he had like McDonald's toys for like Happy Meals?
Right.
It's like
right.
He was everywhere. He was everywhere. Like everybody knew Tony Hawk. What's funny though about Tony Hawk is everyone knows him, but then when you like he had all those memes online about how like no one recognized him, but everybody knew who his name. Like you knew who he was, but like you couldn't recognize him. But like when you hear the name skateboarding in the US, you think of Tony Hawk immediately.
Right. And I know it's like it's way out there and it might hurt the strength of the team per se, but again, I'm just going for domination in the category. And I think he owns the category.
Bless you.
So he is the category. So
yeah, I mean that's a great steal as well. You just pulled off like truly some like transformational picks there because Usain Bolt is another guy that like you don't have to like care about track and field except for
but you know about him
every 4 years, but you know about him and he's like people use him as like a measuring stick like hey, that car's faster than Usain Bolt or hey, what are you in a hurry? What are you trying to be? Usain Bolt? You know, it's
he's
like
a cultural icon. He's a cultural icon.
Right. He's beyond sports.
Right.
All right. So Diezel, you're up at 23.
All right. I'm gonna go with my college male pick. I'm gonna go with Christian Laettner as my
Oh man, yeah. Yes.
The guy you loved to hate when he played. It was just amazing to watch. He was one of the only few players to go play on that dream team straight out of college.
That's a great pick. Very underrated pick at 23 for that category. So it's funny, we all went basketball.
Laettner's honestly, Diezel, I thought about Laettner myself. But as a Tar Heel, I couldn't do that. No, but Leitner, two-time national champion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, most outstanding player,
Yeah.
gold medalist, two-time NBA All-Star. I mean, transcended with helping Coach K build Duke into a powerhouse. Great pick. I mean,
That's an awesome pick. I
yeah,
mean,
love it.
I think our college picks were all good in all of basketball. I think if you sit around and talk about like the Mount Rushmore of college basketball, I
Mm-hmm.
think all three of our guys' names show up on that list.
At least in the conversation.
Yeah, in the
Like
conversation.
strong consideration.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so I'm up with back to back, and this is where it's like I can sort of just like pick whomever at this point because I've gotten sort of the tough competitive categories out of the way. But so
Right.
now I'm sort of gonna try and take the Cam approach of picking just the best player in each category. And I'm gonna go Maya Moore as one of the female athletic picks. I think she was the first female ever to be sponsored by Jordan Brand. She's like a WNBA equivalent of Michael Jordan. Like she turned that Minnesota Lynx franchise into like a perennial winner. And she's just, when you think about women's college basketball and women's pro basketball in my lifetime, it's pretty hard to overlook Maya Moore. So I'm gonna go Maya Moore at 24. Pardon the rhyme. And
Awesome pick.
she's going to be my second just female wild card. And then at 25, I'm going to go with Jack Nicklaus as my golf pick. Because, I mean, outside of Tiger, what do people always say? They're always like, can Tiger reach Jack? Or can Tiger do this? Because Jack did that. You know what I mean? Because Tiger won a major at this age. Can he do it at this age like Jack did? People are always measuring Tiger up to Jack. Now, that's not taking anything away from Tiger. That just shows that in our lifetime, Tiger was as big as Jack was for our grandparents. So for that reason, I'm going with Jack Nicklaus as my golf pick at 25. And I mean, the dude just transcends like golf. Like he's like when you look at him, he's got like his own course. He's got several of his own courses. He's got his own tournament named after him. There's his own clothing line. I mean, the dude is like, even at age 90 or however old he is, certainly still a relevant figure in the sport. I mean, people still talk about him. I really just don't know how old he is. Oh, he's 82.
82.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Yeah, so I gotta go with
Great
Jack.
pick. Great pick.
All right, Kyle, you're up at 26.
I don't know what category I want to start with. I think I'm gonna go female athletes. I'm gonna go with Jackie Joyner-Kersee as one of the, basically known as the first American female athlete.
You're putting that in the female category?
Correct.
Okay.
Wild cards. Yeah, I mean, you're getting like, I gotta make sure I phrase this right. I think Diezel is going like the history route. Like he's just getting like pioneers and like people who like made news, which is a great way to go because the history books isn't only what you do on the field, it's also like the impact that you leave. And so I like your strategy too for going like deep into the history and not just like being more modern biased. Like I think Cam and I are a little bit more modern in a way, but I still like it. I like your strategy. So Cam, you got back to back at 27 and 28.
Well, at 27, I'm going to use my first female athlete slot. I'm going to go with Candace Parker from the Los Angeles Sparks. Candace Parker is one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time. She had an excellent collegiate career playing for the great Pat Summitt. I think Will's shaking his head because he was going there. Were you going there?
Yeah, but I thought it was a safe pick because I thought I went with Maya Moore. I almost went with her. Then I'm like, no, like Maya Moore could get taken. I got to go with Candace Parker. Yeah. I'll get her on my next round and go with Maya Moore first. So, yeah, I mean, two-time Win the Award winner. Yeah. Just a complete buzzsaw.
honestly, I would say she's my favorite women's athlete of all time. I just have a lot of respect for what she's done. So yeah, I'm going one there. And I believe we picked two of those, so I have another one there as well. Let's see here. You know, I it hurts my heart to leave my NBA category open this long. There's no competition for it anymore. So just real quick, MJ's gone. You know, Kareem's already in my category. You can't pick Russell. You know, you could go LeBron here. Probably should. I'm not going to though. Gonna go with the late great Kobe Bryant in this spot. I'm gonna take Kobe Bryant.
Love it.
And a little more of my heart there than maybe my brain. But to me, Kobe was my favorite non-Celtic of all time. And I think the second greatest shooting guard of all time, no questions. He's the closest to Michael Jordan we have and will ever see.
I mean, it's hard to argue with both of your picks right there, back to back, just basketball cornerstones for our lifetime and for all time.
Right.
So just to clarify, Candace Parker was one of your wild cards, but in the female category?
Yeah, she's my first female wild card.
All right.
So I still have one. I got to give one more there. That's gonna be.
Damn, those are two great picks. Now I got to scramble and find out because I was gonna take Candace Parker as my female college athlete. Because her college career at Tennessee was.
That's right.
I mentioned she had a great WNBA career. I mean, she won the championship with, I can't remember the team, but like last year. So she's still winning. But like my reasoning for taking Maya Moore was like you could have taken Maya Moore as a college player, but like she had a great pro career too. So
she did.
Pick. But Kyle, you're up at 29.
I'm gonna go with the NHL route, and I think you'll be interested who I pick. I'm gonna go with Patrick Roy as my pick for the NHL.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Patrick Roy. We're Americans, but Canadians would get on you about that. Just if you're ever up there in the northern part of your state near Quebec and you say Patrick Roy, they might look at you funny. Pretty sure
I would have said the same thing, Diezel. I'm with you.
I don't want if you're ever in a conversation with them, because I think I've made that mistake before. If I'm not incorrect, I think they pronounce it raw. But yeah, I mean I had him on my list. I mean, if you think about goalies, everyone always goes to Brodeur or Dominic Hasek, but I mean, like that dude was as clutch as you could be ever in that sport. And in many ways, he flies under the radar with American fans because our minds always go to Gretzky and Brodeur as like the best skater and the best goalie, and we kind of overlook Raw. But I love that pick. It's a great pick. Now I gotta like scramble here because I have so many. I'm really not worried about tennis because you guys have both taken tennis, and I've got my tennis player lined up, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Raw's off the board for hockey. Oh gosh. Parker's off the board for women's college. I haven't taken baseball yet. Oh my god.
Either have I.
All right. I think I gotta do it this way. There's really only two ways to go with this. And I gotta do it this way. So I gotta take baseball, and then I gotta take soccer. So I'm going to go give me Hank Aaron for baseball, the true home run king, right? The best multi-tool player in all time as well. He was a tremendous outfielder, fast, athletic, great guy. He passed away only a year ago, so he still lived a very long life into our lifetime. Growing up before Bonds broke the record, he was considered the home run king, and in my opinion still should be. And it's really hard to go wrong with Hank Aaron. So I got to pick Hank Aaron at 30, I believe. No, yes. All right, so
that's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean,
Hammer and Hank is awesome.
Hammer and Hank, right? And I mean, and he is the Braves franchise. like he is the Braves franchise. Like if you think about them, the same way you think about Ted Williams and the Red Sox, or
Right.
whoever. It's like he is the Braves franchise, and so I love Hank Aaron for that reason. All right, so at 31, I'm gonna go soccer, and I'm gonna go Diego Maradona. I wanted Messi, but I gotta go with his fellow countryman and the guy that just up until Messi and Ronaldo was really considered one of the greatest of all time in that sport and meant so much to the sport. And another guy who passed away recently. I think Diego
Yes.
Maradona died in 2020 and Hank Aaron died in 2021, I believe. So some late greats here with Kobe, Hank Aaron, Diego Maradona, all in a row.
Bill Russell.
Bill
Yeah.
Russell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, 32. Kyle, you're up again.
I'm gonna make an interesting pick here. I'm gonna go with the female college athlete. I'm gonna go with the current female athlete, Paige. I'm saying probably her name wrong. Bookers. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Cam, am I saying it
For
wrong?
UConn?
Right? Yes,
It-
UConn. She is an
you-
absolute stud.
Is this women's college you're doing or women's athlete?
College.
Thank you.
She's a stud at the college level
Yeah,
right now.
she's gonna have a great career.
Off
She's
board.
gonna have a great career in the WNBA, and she is just dominant in the sport. I mean, if you watch the women's March Madness, they're just. I mean, UConn is who they are because of her at this point. Well, and great coaching and great recruiting and all that other great stuff. But yeah, she's a stud. You're right. Like her college career alone, like puts her in this category for sure.
Agree.
Cam, you're up back to back at 33 and 34.
Well, I mean, Diesel gave me a great opener, so I feel like I have the greatest women's college basketball player already in Parker, and I'm about to grab I believe, arguably the best NBA player of all time. I'm gonna take Sue Bird with my other female athlete spot. I mean, I almost went Diana Taurasi here because of her career at UConn. I almost did it, but I'm gonna go with Bird. Little more in the WNBA, and I'm going female athlete there. So I think I'm feeling really good about my female athletes there. So that leaves me with just a couple of categories.
Yeah. So how about we all take this time with only, let's see,
Three left, I think. Three
we
picks.
have 3 left. I still need women's college, tennis, and NHL. Cam, I think you still need women's college and MLB. And
No, I need MLB, NFL, and female Olympian.
Female Olympian. Okay.
Female Olympian I need. Because my female college was Cheryl Miller.
Right. That's right. That's right. Okay. I was
And then
mixing
I have
up
Parker and Bird for the female athletes. So I need an Olympian and I need baseball and football.
Kyle, what about you? I lost track. Football.
I
right?
need golf.
Oh,
I
golf.
need female athlete number 2, and I need my wild card.
All right.
That's fun.
That's fun. Yeah, you have great picks ahead. All right, so Cam, with that in mind, at 34, who do you got?
Well, I'm gonna get NFL out of the way. I alluded to this earlier. Brady's off the board, Taylor's off the board. So the logical choice is the greatest wide receiver of all time. Give me Jerry Rice. Also the NFL leader in total touchdowns, 208 touchdowns scored in his career. So I'm gonna take Jerry Rice there.
I like it.
Great pick.
Yeah.
I like how we didn't all just go quarterbacks because, I mean, one thing that's come out of our lifetime is that, not to be too much of a Patriots honk here, but the gap between Brady and the next best quarterback at this point is just so big that, like, if you take a quarterback as the second best player in your mind, then, like, you're losing out on guys like Rice and Taylor. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Get the best. Get the best of the best. You
Right.
know?
Like, imagine if you were building a team in NFL history and you said Brady, Rice, and LT were on your team.
Woo!
I mean,
Woo!
that's a great start.
Woo, baby. I'm feeling, give me a promotion.
All right, Kyle, you're up at 35.
I'm gonna go with my golf pick, but I don't know if I want to go toward the female side or if I want to go toward the male side for this pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Interesting.
great choices on both. I mean, once Jack and Tiger off the board.
Well, there's one big one. There's two big ones we're missing still.
Right, there are.
Yeah.
There are.
So my eyes are wide, just so you know. I'm curious.
Well, I'll give you who the two I'm stuck with right now. I'll let you know. It's Arnold Palmer, and then I've got Nancy Lopez as my other pick for golf. I'm gonna go with Arnold Palmer, I think, as my pick for golf.
Yeah.
I read a great book
Okay.
about him. Love his game. Love how he started basically building up the golf industry. His story is just phenomenal.
Right. And then, like Ben Hogan and who's the guy that started the Live Tour? Forget his name.
Greg Norman.
Greg Norman. I mean, you could those guys are also of
We're forgetting Rory too. Just saying.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, no, I know, but like to me, like I love Rory.
Rory's better than Greg Norman. Sorry.
No, okay, you're right. He is. He is. But
You're getting my blood pressure going.
okay, but when I think of it's hard because he's still playing. So like
I know.
obviously Tiger is still playing technically too. I mean, he's never going to be like playing every tournament like he was 15 years ago. But it's hard for me to think about Rory like that because like to me it's like he still has stuff left to prove. Like, you know,
Right.
like he still has chapters to be written in his story. Like he's definitely a great golfer, and I've come around on him. I used to think he was kind of like self-entitled and annoying.
Oh, I hate him personally. I don't like him, but he's
But,
good.
but
I think he's a nosy. I think he's a nasally little brat. But
all right.
who gave up the Carolyn chick? I forgot too back in the day. But I'm going. I'll be careful.
No, I mean it's hard not to talk about those guys too. Greg Norman versus Rory. I'm sure hardcore golf guys would get on us right now for even talking about this.
They
But-
would.
because
sure.
the top three are the top three that we picked, like Arnold,
Those are the
Jack,
three.
and Tiger. I mean, those are the three. And actually in that realm, speaking of threes, it's hard to talk about tennis in our lifetime without mentioning one of the following two, Rafa and Nadal or Novak Djokovic. And since Federer's already off the board as one of those three, for my pick at 36, I would go with Nadal. And the reason why is, I mean, agree or disagree with what Novak's doing with the whole vaccine stuff, he's took himself out of majors and Grand Slams at this point. And like to me, the razor thin margin between Nadal and Djokovic was already so close that like Nadal just seems to have like capitalized on the moment, and he's like won tournaments while Novak has been sitting around like in airports. And so I got to go with Nadal here just because to me, when I see Nadal, I saw him on 60 Minutes, I think a couple of years ago. He just seems like he's so at peace with how good he is at tennis. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't get amped up. Like I'm not to say he doesn't get amped up, but the moment doesn't look too big for him ever. Like he could be up there like at Wimbledon with the Met, or you know at Roland Garros with the match on the line, and he just looks as cool as can be, and he's just so dominant and such an assassin on the court that I got to go with Rafa Nadal.
That's the right pick. That's the right pick.
You agree?
1000%. I was worried you'd go Djokovic.
No,
It's,
I mean
it's Nadal. It's Nadal comfortably.
Djokovic had like a chance there like a couple of years ago. I think I even declared him once the GOAT of tennis, and then I thought about it for a while, and I'm like, he's leaving majors on the board, and to me, like he just doesn't have that like mental, just like I'm better than you attitude that Nadal has when he steps on the court. It's very like Jordan or Muhammad Ali-esque, like when he goes on the tennis court. So Nadal's the right pick in my opinion.
I just want to say the only other guy you could pick for the male side would be Pete Sampras for tennis.
Right, that guy was an absolute stud.
Right,
and
that would have been acceptable.
He played in an era too with really good guys like Andre Agassi and John McEnroe.
Right.
So he played against big competition. Like if you're 40 years old and you like tennis, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there or gals out there that are huge tennis fans, you've had a great life because you had like when you're growing up, you had those three, and now as an adult, you have the three that we talked about. Plus, on the women's side, we didn't even talk about Maria Sharapova. I took Serena, but we have
Venus is still there. Yeah.
Venus as well. So that's who I got at 36. And at 37 for my college female athlete, I'm going with Jenny Finch now for softball because I wanted Candace Parker, but she's gone. I just looked this up earlier and I had kept it open in a tab in case I didn't get Parker. But Finch's career in college at Arizona, she had 9 starts in the College World Series for softball. She went 7-2 with 70 strikeouts, 3 shutouts, and only 17 runs in 9 games. If you do the math there, that's like at most 2 runs a game, which in college softball, there's a lot of offense. And so like to on average give up. Oh, actually her ERA, that tells a better story. Her ERA goes along with what I was saying, 1.83. So having a 1.3 ERA in the World Series of college softball, I mean, she's
no argument here, man. I love that. I'm happy she's included.
Dominant. Like when you think about women's softball in our lifetime,
it's Jenny Finch.
It's Jenny Finch, and there's no other real debate, in my opinion. Like she was just so dominant.
Think about how many young women she was a role model for the next generation of softball, of Division I, and all levels of female softball players. She is softball in America. Well said. The world, really. I mean, so
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good late round filler. I mean,
that might be a huge steal. Other than, I mean, that's a great steal. Other than Rafa Nadal at 36, Jenny Finch.
Well, when you're drafting this many great men and women, you get some steals for sure.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, you're at 38. You got 2 picks left.
All right, I'm gonna go with my second female athlete. I was thinking Lindsey Vonn. I was thinking Nancy Lopez, but I'm gonna go with Bonnie Blair, one of the greatest speed skaters.
Right. Whenever I watch the Winter Olympics, they're always comparing, like, oh well, her record is this, her record is that, and it seems like she's like the benchmark for that sport. So yeah, if you're talking about no, this is Olympian or just a open athlete category.
Athlete.
All right. Yeah, I mean, even if you took her as part of your Olympic group, that's still a great pick in terms of just grabbing the best available in that particular sport. Another great female Olympian that none of us brought up was Katie Ledecky. And
I still have to pick.
Oh,
literally, dude, that's my next pick. Oh.
Well, we all picked them. Like you can pick her. I'm sorry to steal.
I know. I'm just saying. Like you took away my thunder.
I did sort of steal your thunder. I forgot.
Oh, I'm gonna throttle you. Oh.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I'll get that one out of the way. I'm taking Ledecky, man. Oh.
And this is your Olympics.
This is my female Olympian. Yeah, I mean, listen. There's such a wide range of events in the Olympics for females and for people in general, but we had such a wide variety to choose from. There's no wrong answers there. My last one, as a baseball guy, leaving baseball for last was hard, but it's extremely difficult. There's about 6 guys that I could pick. You know, guys like Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, Ted Williams, David Ortiz, Mariano Rivera, they all come to mind. And they'd all be good answers. I think about Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens.
Nolan Ryan,
right? That's my greatest pitcher of all time, right? But this isn't about the greatest pitcher. You really can't leave out the greatest hitter to ever walk God's earth. And it's Barry Bonds. And it's not close. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter to ever live. He's the most decorated individual baseball player ever. If you take, and I Will's rolling his head over there. If you take away,
it's not about what you think it's about, but I'll get to that in a second.
If you take away the years where he was suspected and did steroids. Give me just the Pirate years, and he's a Hall of Famer. Give me just the Pirate years, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay,
Right, but it's
forget
the
about
Giants,
everything
it's
else.
the Giants years that make him considered the home run king, and it by some, and it not me. And it's the Giants years that make
Think about the Gold Gloves and the MVPs even before all that, and the All-Star appearances.
Cam, there's plenty of people in the Baseball Hall of Fame that had great careers that were Hall of Fame worthy. So, like, let's say you just do the Pirates years, who aren't the
Right.
best of all time. Craig Biggio had a great career with the
Right.
Astros. He's not the greatest third baseman of all time.
No, he's not.
Right. So just you having a Hall of Fame career before your steroids doesn't make you a great greatest of all time, because
Steroids are not a disqualifier though in baseball. They're not.
But for you to say he's the greatest hitter, I mean, yes,
He is.
but
He is. It's not close.
I don't think it, I can't. Okay, I can't. You can't say it's not close, because
who's close to Barry?
I can name 5 people right now who are as good as Barry Bonds at hitting, not home runs, but hitting. You didn't say home run hitter. You said hitter. So I raise you Pete Rose, Mickey Mantle, who, by the way, had Joe DiMaggio hit 56 games in a row. Ted Williams hit 406.
Right.
Ty
He
Cobb.
He did.
All
Right.
those guys. Great hitters.
Barry could hit for average, hit for power. When you're the home run king plus
Willie
everything
Mays.
else.
Alex Rodriguez. Albert.
I thought about A-Rod. I thought about A-Rod too, Will. I did. This is why I saved this one, because this is hard. I thought about A-Rod big time. He's 696 home runs, Gold Gloves. You know, he's a great hitter. I think about all the MVPs that Barry has, though. It helps the cause. How many, like, you got to look at the whole resume.
I know.
Is where
that's why I'm looking at the whole resume. I'm looking at the whole resume, and I'm saying that yes. I am looking at the whole resume, because I'm saying yes, he took steroids when he went to the Giants, and you're saying only look at the Pirates years. So is that looking at the whole resume?
Oh, no, I was just making a point. I just pulled it up. 7 MVPs, 12 single Silver Slugger, 14 All-Star games, the home run record, the single season record, which can be questioned. But then if we open up, see, this is the problem I have with baseball people, though, like yourself and like people like me. Like we're so hypocritical with baseball. You know what I mean? We are.
I mean, yes, we are.
We pick and choose. We pick and choose who we evaluate for steroids. We do. There's no argument there. Certain people are looked at differently than others about steroids.
Totally. I mean, David Ortiz.
Right.
Steroids. I mean,
right. Look how they treat Mark McGwire and
sport.
Sammy and Barry and A-Rod. Right. You know,
I'm not. My take on Barry Bonds isn't a steroid-centric take as much as I'm making it one. My take is that if you want to, like, the greatest player of all time, really, the greatest player of all time, Barry Bonds, really. How many All-Star games did you play?
He was 5'2" when he was younger.
How many All-Star games did Barry Bonds have?
14.
All right. Willie Mays had 24.
Right. In a different era.
Okay, it doesn't matter. This is the greatest of all time. I mean, we're not saying in this era. We're saying in the.
Well, it does. It does matter. It does matter. Who you're playing against doesn't matter.
Willie
so you're
Mays,
saying that Dave Bing and Kobe Bryant are the same if they played against the same guys?
I'm not talking about basketball. I'm not talking about basketball right now. I'm talking about.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
No, in eras do matter if you're comparing players from like within that era. And what I'm saying is, if you're talking about all time, it doesn't, like you saying he played in a different era. Okay.
So you think guys should you think there's no effect, or like it doesn't come into play at all about
no, I didn't say it doesn't affect.
I'm asking.
I don't think
okay.
No, I don't think it comes into effect when you're talking about the macro picture. Like,
okay.
For
No,
example,
that's what I was curious about.
in base, and I'm talking specifically in baseball. I'm not talking about football because everyone will always yell at you and say like, "Well, it's a passing league now, so touchdown."
I agree with that. That's different though. That's
or
different.
when you talk about basketball, it's more of a shooting league now, and people.
I got 8 gold gloves too for Barry.
Right. Okay. How many Gold Gloves?
I got 8 gold gloves. I got 7 MVP. I got 14 All-Star, 12 Silver Slugger, 2-time batting champion, RBI leader. You know, obviously the most walks, single season home run, obviously career home runs, home run leader, batting champion, Hank Aaron Award winner 3 times.
That's interesting. You won the Hank Aaron Award. No, so like to me, there. I'll give you my baseball Mount Rushmore while we're talking about baseball. And Kyle, feel free to chime in. I know Cam and I are arguing, but you're
514 steals as well. Not Henderson, but a fair amount of steals.
So I got my baseball Mount Rushmore. Now you can talk about like who's like instrumental in the game, because obviously like Jackie Robinson and Babe Ruth and all these guys influence the game.
That's different though, right?
But if you're talking about like who is the best, I got Nolan Ryan, Will Hayes, Hank Aaron, and Ted Williams. And Ted Williams went to war and missed the prime of his career because he was serving in the military. So like,
well, we agree on the pitcher. Nolan Ryan's the greatest pitcher to ever live, in my opinion. So I agree with that. I said it earlier. I agree with that. So you would not have taken Barry then?
I would not, because to me, like, and I've argued with Ian about this, and Ian, I hope you're listening. I think the 60s, 70s, and 80s were the best era of baseball. I truly do. I wasn't alive for them, but as a student of history and sports, I think that was the best era ever. And in terms of competition, like you mentioned eras, and I know I said they don't matter, but when I look at that era, that's where all the great players played. And so there's a lot to choose from there. I'm not saying the 90s and 2000s weren't. I mean, Barry had Mark McGwire and Sosa and all these other guys that took roids that he had to play against.
Right.
And there also is the question, well, if the pitchers also use roids, then does that really negate steroids as a hitter? I'm not going to get into the weeds of
that's
that.
That's a 100-year philosophical debate for baseball.
Right. And they'll never get over that. And I'm not saying
nobody's ever going to win that.
Right. And I'm not saying Barry Bonds sucks. I'm just saying that like I can probably name like 6 or 8 players in baseball history from like 1900 to present who I think had better careers than him. And that's all. I mean, you said you were like bragging about him being a 14-time All-Star. Willie Mays was a 24-time All-Star. Full stop. 24 years. He played like 30 years almost, but to make the All-Star game 24 years, I mean, come on.
Right. How many MVPs?
Only 2. But I mean, again,
would you rather be an All-Star or an MVP?
I mean, how many World Series did Barry Bonds?
Right. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, because if there's any sport, if there's any of the 4 major sports that you cannot penalize somebody for winning a championship, it's baseball. And you know this.
I do. But if you're going to bring up MVPs, like, isn't the ultimate goal winning?
Absolutely. And they blew it in 2002. They should have won the World Series. Yeah. Right. They did not win the World Series.
Absolutely. I mean,
but you can't walk Tom Brady, though. You can't intentionally walk Tom Brady or LeBron. You have to let him play.
No, that's true. That's
just saying.
I mean, Bonds missed out on a lot of hits because he was walked.
He was walked like 600 times in 2001. Like, so whatever it was. Like, you can't walk like Tom Brady. You can't say, "Oh, we're gonna walk and he can't have a drive." LeBron can't shoot that shot because we're gonna use our designated bench time on him.
Well, you're right. I mean,
championships in baseball, you have to look at it with a grain of salt a little bit more.
I agree. I just think like when you're talking about all this stuff, like I know Barry Bonds had
the MVPs do it for me. That helps me a lot.
Walks that he should have been sponsored by Apple Watch. I mean that's but like at the same time, I just look at like the best player, and I'm like, I just don't.
What did Barry not do well though? In his prime, he was a Gold Glover. He did
not do well.
He stole bases. Yeah, but I got 5 more MVPs.
Oh,
I got 5 more MVPs.
I got 10 more All-Star games. 10.
I'd rather be the best player in the pennant. I'd rather be the best player in the league than be one of the best 9.
NL. Okay, well, so I'll go to Hank Aaron then. You're so hung up on MVPs.
No, you have Willie Mays as your guy.
No, Hank
you
Aaron's
pick Hank. You pick.
Yes, Hank
Diesel,
Aaron.
help me out here. Get my medicine.
Okay, so
I knew this would be the debate. This is why I waited to the end.
Hank Aaron only won 1 MVP, so that doesn't really help. But he went to 25 All-Star games.
That's huge. Huge.
All right, so I mean,
that's huge. That's
I'm
huge.
Just saying.
No, listen. I'm not saying Hammer and Hank and Willie Mays are bums.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the MVPs helped me so much, and it's all about the balance of what Barry did. You talk about 5 tools. He was 5 tools.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe 4.5, not the greatest throwing arm, but I'm picking.
I guess if you were to pick, like, to me, like, I'm not saying he's a bum either. I would just put him more in like the 8 to 10 range. Well, and I mean, the Hall of Fame discussion that's going on with him is a completely different one. I mean, I'm just looking at.
It's a joke. The Hall of Fame's a joke. It's a joke. The baseball writers are the biggest hypocrites in the world, and they're fools. The Baseball Hall of Fame means nothing without Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, all those guys. If they're not in, it's not a Hall of Fame to me. Because if they're not in, then take out Shoeless Joe Jackson, take out Mantle, take out Lou Brock. If we're talking about ethics and everything else. So I don't know. That's a whole different thing.
I did just look up real quick. Joe DiMaggio won 9 World Series. Jesus Christ.
Well, the Yankees owned the world at that time, but I know, but still. I mean, Yogi Berra had like 11, I think, right? Yogi Berra had like 11 World Series or something like that. Yeah. Like, the Yankees owned the 1900s.
Babe Ruth must have had. I'm gonna look that up real quick. He must have had at least 10.
Oh, well, because they won like only 7. I know they won so many. Less teams back. Yeah.
Only 7.
I just feel like you can't deny the balance of everything he's done. Yeah. He's the only player to have 500 steals and home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. 514 steals. I know steals don't matter to the millennials these days, but in our day, Will, playing station to station baseball and like creating runs was cool. It was fun. You know, sack flies and steals.
Well, that's why I love guys like Willie Mays and
I love Hank too. I love him.
Well, I mean, Hank Aaron also hit a lot of home runs, but like Willie Mays hit home runs too. But like some of these guys that in his era, like Roberto Clemente and Willie Stargell and Willie McCovey and Willie Mays, like the 3 Willies, it was like these guys just played everything. They were good defensively. They were good with average. They hit, they stole bases. They did all kinds of things on the baseball field. Whereas, like, I guess to me, there's a little bit of bias, like, toward Barry Bonds now, because it's like we don't remember him as like the 5-tool player when he was 25. We remember the guy who had the head,
the slugger.
He had the head the size of a Spalding basketball when he was like, 40 years old, hitting home runs into the San Francisco Bay. So it's like that's like what I think of when I think of Barry Bonds. So perhaps
I mean, again, I have my stats up, folks. I'm not going to say I know this off the top of my head, but he was a top 5 hitter in 12 of his 17 qualifying seasons. I mean, we can go deep in stats and go through all that. I mean, I could stop at 7 MVPs, and that includes, I believe, 4 consecutive. So, I mean, are we going to have this talk about Mike Trout in 10 years?
That's what I was about to say, because like Mike Trout's probably on his way to like, I don't know how many MVPs he's won, probably like 4 right now.
I think it's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's at least 3.
The thing about Mike Trout is just, he's not hitting as much home runs in recent years as I thought, and he's 31.
Well, Barry stayed healthy for a long time too, and Mike can't stay healthy.
Right. That's his problem.
I mean, Barry played games. I mean, Trout doesn't play. And he's not as marketable as Barry was.
He's a 10-time All-Star, and he's made the All-Star. He's made the All-Star game every year, but the one thing about him, he's got the Silver Sluggers. He's got the Hank Aaron awards and the All-Star Game MVP awards and all that stuff. But 10 three-time AL MVP, 14, 16, and 19. So we're going on 4 years since his like last MVP season.
He might be done with MVPs.
Yeah.
That's why it's so hard. I mean, we think of Mike Trout as the people, not me, but people say he's undisputedly the greatest player of his generation. And he's got 3. He's got less than half of Barry's MVPs.
I mean, okay, so what's his generation? People like born after 2000?
Probably, right? I mean,
yeah. So, but like Miguel Cabrera has won 2 MVPs.
Does he count in that era though?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so. Most of Cabrera's best years were between like 2010 and 2015.
Well, 12, they went to the World Series when the Tigers, when they lost to the St. Louis. I don't know why I'm struggling with that, but yeah. So Diezel, we kept you waiting, dog.
Yeah. So what, Kyle? 41. You have had plenty of time to figure out who you want.
Sorry, dude. We had to go through that. I knew that was going to be emotional.
That was emotional.
It was.
I need a safe space.
Yeah.
What's up, Kyle? Who do you got at 41?
So for 41, originally I was going to use my wild card spot on Bo Jackson, but
love it.
I decided to change it to Carl Lewis as my wild card spot.
Great.
That's way better than what you were going to do.
I mean, Bo's respectable, like by himself, but
Bo's one of the most overrated athletes of all time. 1000% overrated.
Really?
1000% overrated.
I think the thing about him playing multiple sports is vastly overrated because Deion Sanders.
That's what I'm getting at.
Because Deion Sanders also did it, and no one pays attention to him doing it really. And
Deion was a better baseball player than Bo by a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, Michael Jordan did it. I mean,
Deion was like, if Deion focused on baseball, he could have been a starter for his career. I think
if Kyler Murray, I know Kyler Murray is making a crap ton of money playing Call of Duty and playing for the Arizona Cardinals, but
in that order.
Yeah. well, he tore his ACL, poor guy, honestly. So hopefully, he does get back on the football field. But to me, he probably could have gone to the MLB, and he's pretty good player. He wouldn't have made money, but he could have been like a second baseman, center fielder, bat a leadoff for somebody, and been pretty
hit 280.
Yeah,
and yeah. So I just think Bo's so overrated.
Right. And the thing about these guys too is that these guys that play multiple sports, it's like you pick. I mean, Matt Stafford won the Super Bowl last year, right? I think he played 4 varsity sports in high school. Right.
He did.
Like all these guys that are playing professional sports were also really good at other sports. I'm not saying they're good enough to be professional, but I think that's a little bit of an overrated skill because
it is.
It's really cool that you went professional in both sports, but I mean, Mookie Betts was a professional bowler and a professional baseball player, and nobody.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
Also, Deion Sanders is the best defensive back of all time, and Bo Jackson was a good running back. Deion Sanders, you can argue that. I think he's definitely one of the top 3 defensive backs ever.
People like Bo Jackson probably more because of the cultural stuff. He was sort of that tough guy.
He was cool.
Yeah, cool, and he had that thing with the shoulder pads and the bat, that poster.
Yeah. Bo was fun, but he's not close to Deion and dual athletes.
Right. So, Kyle, I like your Carl Lewis pick. Sorry to get.
Yeah, sorry to crap all over that for you, but.
But I mean, the dude is just a complete stud. I'm just looking at his things right now. He won.
Carl Lewis is awesome.
He won 9 gold medals and 1 silver at the Olympics.
How many MVPs? No, I'm kidding.
And he did it in over a span of 4 Olympics too. So it wasn't just like he had 1 Olympics where he cleaned
longevity
up.
For him.
Yeah, I like that's a good pick.
Who's Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Highland, or Mrs. Irrelevant?
So Kyle, just to make sure, is he your Olympian or wild card? Wild card. Right? All right. So my pick for hockey, the resident hockey guy picks his NHL player last. But to me, it was down to two guys. It was down to Mark Messier or Mario Lemieux. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Mario Lemieux because a lot of people consider him after Gretzky to be the best player of all time. You could talk about Hull, you could talk about Brodeur, or even modern era like Crosby or Ovechkin. But to me, Mario Lemieux for that era, to be as dominant as he was and as skillful as he was with the puck, I think he's like top 5 in points all time. And it's kind of hard to overlook that. So that's who I'm going at with my pick at 42.
I like it. I think that's a good smart pick.
All right, what I want to do now is, just so that we don't take too much longer, I do want to I'm going to sort my spreadsheet by all of us, and then go through our teams for each person as a collective, because I kind of lost track of everyone's team once we started picking, like individually, like how good it was.
Right.
Let me just do that real quick. Let me sort it by name. Because I mean, we got going there for a while. I mean, we had a baseball discussion for like 20 minutes. So
Yes,
Cam,
we
we'll
did.
start with you. We'll start with you. So you had, in order of your picks, you had Wayne Gretzky, Kareem, Iger, Messi, Cheryl Miller, Roger Federer, Usain Bolt, Tony Hawk, Candace Parker, Kobe, Sue Bird, Jerry Rice, Katie Ledecky, and Barry Bonds. That's pretty solid team.
Pretty happy.
Pretty happy with that.
Pretty happy overall.
Kyle Diezel, young man, you had Michael Phelps, Billie Jean King, Babe Ruth, Lawrence Taylor, Michaela Schifrin, Bill Russell, Mia Hamm, Christian Leitner, Jackie Jortner Kesey, Patrick Waugh, Paige Brookers, Arnold Palmer, Bonnie Blair, and Carl Lewis.
Very diverse.
Very diverse and very like history oriented. So I appreciated that. And no bias here, but I think I had the best team. Muhammad Ali, Brady, Jordan, Bill Walton, Serena, Shaun White, Alison Felix, Maya Moore, Jack Nicklaus, Hank Aaron, Diego Maradona, Rafa Nadal, Jenny Finch, and Mario Lemieux. So I don't know. I think that was pretty clutch. I think we had a good team here. I honestly really enjoyed this. I think this was probably the funnest episode we've had. I'll give you both a chance to quickly explain why you think your team's the best of the three. And then I'll go last and close this out. So Cam, I'll have you go first since Kyle just got up. So why is your team better than me and Diesel's?
Well, so first of all, we have 3 well-drafted teams. But when I look at the Chiesa Club, I feel that this is a GOAT draft, and I have GOATs in categories. I have the greatest hockey player of all time in Wayne Gretzky. I have by far the greatest men's college basketball player in Kareem. I have the greatest wide receiver in Jerry Rice. To me, the greatest hitter in Barry Bonds. The second best shooting guard of all time in Kobe Bryant. And I think the greatest player of our generation, Lionel Messi in soccer. And I can't forget about Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer and changed the whole era of golf. So I feel like my guys and girls not only are the best in their category, but they have made huge impacts on their particular sport. So I feel really confident with that.
Whoops, I was muted. Kyle, why is your team better than Cam's or mine?
I mean, I think my team got enough to cover every basis from both the male sports and the female sports, but also from different races, genders. I think I cover enough diversity among both or all fields of sports. And I do think that, my team has a pretty high medal count, I would say, probably the biggest medal count total. So I think we're talking about best in the world, not just best here in the States. So I think I cover a good basis on that. So I think my team's got the #1 gold hanging from their necks.
I like it. I like that confidence. And your team is the best historically well-rounded team as well. And Yeah, and in terms of gold medal counts and individuals, I think you didn't go for a lot of team-oriented people, like even for your wild cards. We went for team sports players, like I chose Maya Moore, or I chose Jenny Finch, who played a team sport. But yeah, I think your people went for these individual accolades. So I think if you're building a team, I mean, sometimes you don't want to go for individuals, but when your individuals walk into the conversation with medal counts that high, you make a pretty good argument. In terms of just statistics. Why I think my team's the best is because I look at my team, and much like Cam, you look at the best of all time. Like, I don't think anybody would argue that Michael Jordan's the best basketball player of all time. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who wasn't a Patriot hater who says that Brady isn't the best quarterback or NFL player of all time. And then even outside our country and our leagues that we watch the most here, some of these fringe sports that aren't as popular, like golf and tennis, like I got Jack Nicklaus and Rafa Nadal. For my girls on my team, I mean, I've got probably the most influential women's softball player ever. I've got the best female tennis player of all time in Serena Williams, and it's not particularly close. I could have taken her from my tennis category and still been probably the best of all of us in tennis. Allison Felix, Diezel wants to talk about decorated gold medals. I walk in with probably the best decorated female track and field star ever. I've got the Michael Jordan of women's basketball as well in Maya Moore. Diego Maradona. I mean, my team is well-rounded. It spans history. I've got Bill Walton, who's played as early as the 70s. I got Muhammad Ali, who fought as early as the 60s and 50s. And then I've got guys like Shaun White, who just retired last year, and Tom Brady, who's still playing. In fact, he kicks off in an hour. So I think I got a very well-rounded team. But ultimately, for the three of us, I think each one of us could lay our claim to fame as drafting the best GOAT athletes ever. So now, you listeners, I want you all to know and vote. You've heard us make our case. I'll put this up on Instagram and on Facebook. And so I hope if you're not listening or watching, that you'll view them on paper and look at them, even if you didn't hear our takes the whole episode, if you tuned in late or whatnot. But guys, I'd love to do this again with another category. What do you guys think? Sometime. I don't know what the category is, but we should do it. Maybe sports movies. Maybe
most MVPs in the National League.
Maybe best teams ever.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Best teams ever would be pretty fun, because when you do a sports talk show, you can kind of get stuck in the mud just talking about like the games that are going on this week or whatnot. So I do like doing stuff like this. It's pretty fun. Reminds me of when we did our year. This Diezel, this was before you joined the show, but we did our year end or end of the decade show 3 years ago.
That was awesome.
It was like the decade in review. And we picked like the best teams, the best players from each sport in the decade. So
best moments.
Yeah, I think in 6 years we'll do that again, but it will be a while before that. All right, guys. This is gonna do it for this episode of Home Field Advantage. I hope all of you enjoyed. You can hit us up on social media where you'll find our voting for the teams. But as always, check us out. We'll be back, the three of us. I think we're going to start doing these more, maybe for NFL playoffs. We'll try and do something as well. Those are coming up in just a few weeks. Catch you later. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time. Sounds good, guys.